Good day, everyone. The topic that we will be discussing is all about the audio-lingual method. The audio-lingual method was developed in the US during the Second World War. At that time, the US government found it a great necessity to set up a special language training program to supply the war with language personnel. Therefore, the government commissioned American universities to develop foreign language program for military personnel. Now, the learning theory of audiolingualism is behaviorist psychology, which is an empirically based approach to the study of human behavior. So, behaviorism tries to explain how an external event or a stimulus caused a change in the behavior of an individual or a response without using concepts like mind or ideas or any kind of mental behavior. Additionally, behaviorist psychology states that people are conditioned to learn many forms of behavior, including language, through the process of training or conditioning. There are also objectives of the audiolingual method. So, the general objectives of the audiolingual method enables the target language communicatively. First is short-range objectives, include training in listening comprehension, accurate pronunciation, reading comprehension, and production of the audiolingual method. So these are the development of mastery in all four language skills, beginning with listening and speaking, and using this as a basis for the teaching of reading and writing. Another is a long-range objective, or the ultimate goal. It is to develop in the students the same types of abilities that native speakers have, to use it automatically without stopping to think. A typical ALM lesson begins with a dialogue that students memorize through repetition and role-playing. The teacher models correct pronunciation and grammar, and students are encouraged to practice specific grammatical structures and vocabulary. So these drills include: first is expansion drill. This drill helps students to produce longer sentences bit by bit, gradually achieving fluency. So the main structure is repeated first, and the students have to put cue phrase in its proper phrase. Second is the clause combination drill. The students learn to combine two simple sentences into a complex one. The third one is the background build-up drill, or back-chaining. This drill is used when a long line of dialogue is giving students trouble. The teacher breaks down the line into several parts, and the students repeat a part of the sentence, usually the last phrase of the line. Now let's talk about the advantages of the audiolingual method. It is the first method to have a theory. Audiolingual method was one of the earliest language teaching methods to be grounded in a specific linguistic theory, which is the behaviorism. This theoretical foundation provided a systematic approach to language learning, unlike some earlier methods that rely on intuition or less defined principles. While behaviorism's limitations are now acknowledged, its initial contribution to establishing a theoretical basis for language pedagogy was significant. Next, making language teaching possible to large groups of learners. The structured drills and repetitive exercises characteristic of ALM lend themselves well to classroom settings with numerous students. The teacher can easily monitor and correct the responses of many learners simultaneously, making it a practical approach for large class sizes, which were and often still are common in many educational contexts. Next, emphasizing sentence production, control over grammatical structures, and development of oral ability. ALM directly targets oral fluency. The drills and repetition focus on producing grammatically correct sentences, leading to improved control over sentence structure and pronunciation. This emphasis on oral production was a key departure from previous methods that might prioritize reading and writing. Next, developing simple techniques and making use of language labs. ALM's techniques are relatively straightforward to implement. The repetitive drills are easy for teachers to manage, and the use of language labs, which is common in the era when ALM was prevalent. It facilitated the practice of listening and speaking skills through recorded materials. The simplicity and accessibility of the techniques made ALM adaptable to various resource levels. And lastly, developing the separation of the language skills. Although now considered somewhat artificial, ALM initially focused on developing listening and speaking skills separately from reading and writing, believing that mastery of the oral skills should precede the written ones. This sequential approach, well debated today, was a defining feature of ALM's methodology. Overall, the audiolingual method was a dominant approach to language teaching in the 1950s and 1960s, but its influence has declined in recent decades. However, audiolingual methods focus on developing oral fluency, and its use of drills can still be valuable for language learners.